She introduced me, and I talked about the park board, and I asked them all a question. And I'm so glad I didn't. I didn't intend to, but I asked them all a question. What would you like to see at the park? And I got a list of some very cool ideas that I would wish we could just do every one of them. But I got a swing set for around the pavilion area at the playground, and a seesaw, a splash pad, a trampoline, and a swimming pool. So they had so many cool ideas. I really enjoyed it. But I think it's kind of safe to say that some of these things, they're just, we don't have enough time and money to be able to do some of these things. But probably the least expensive thing on here to do would be the seesaw. And I would love to do something for them. The seesaw, I have worked with David at the park, and he and I looked at some, and we can get a seesaw for about $7,000. Maybe a little bit more than that for the installation, but I've got some. Here's, you want to pass these around, okay? There's also a picture of a swing set and the seesaw. The swing set, I believe, per David and a number of the park staff, that the swing set at the next to the concession is over 20 years old, and at some point it's going to need need to be replaced. It's probably not going to happen this year, but I did some digging to see how much it would cost to do the swing set and the seesaw, and it's about $24,000. Of course, we don't have that, but if there was a way that we could get a grant to be able to do that, that would be amazing. But right now, I'm just focused on getting the seesaw over at the playground area next to the pavilion. And I wanted to see if that is something that y'all would be interested in doing. I don't know what I think later on we'll talk about any grant that is possible for us to be able to do, but or we could do both, that would be great, but what do y'all think? What are your thoughts?
What is the cause of refurbishing the one coming out? Have we done anything since then?
We have not.
Say that again.
Refurbing the one we have?
The swing set.
I was on it the other night at the Easter event. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually in really cool condition.
Yeah.
At some
Yeah,
point, it's
yeah,
gonna
we
have to
really
be,
see it being.
that would be one of their kind of capital improvement fund that they come back with in their budget. I've swung on it the night of the Easter
Yeah,
event.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's not falling down or
yeah,
anything,
and fall over.
Maybe.
I think Mike was just, I think probably what David was saying is that eventually they will have to rehab that one.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
not on the immediate need list, but eventually, or everything eventually has to have some TLC. They constantly replace swing seats and chains and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
You know, equipment has a lifespan, and it's typically 20 to 25 years, so.
Yes.
And how much was the season?
about 7,000.
If you all have an interest in doing this, what I would ask is let me hand that back to Mike Powell to go out and get you some, because that is a project we would have to bid.
Yeah.
And if you're locked into that version, that is a version. There's also, if you know, if you're familiar at all, something they've done that's a little different now is that piece of equipment that's over by the concession stands.
Uh-huh.
It's a series of about 4 different things.
I love that.
And that's kind of the new seesaw,
Yeah.
is that, and that thing was loaded up on Friday night.
It was.
There, so we can get some prices on a few extra different things.
Yeah.
We would have to do something commercial because it just won't hold up. But we could, if that is something and you want to spend up to $7,000, that is a project we would want to really bid for.
Yeah, sure.
To make sure you're getting the
I
best.
think we should look at that.
I have no idea what that thing, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
What that thing?
I just know.
Looks like a snake.
It's
Yeah, that's kind of what I think about when I see this kind of, I don't know what that thing is called, but that's kind of the new version.
Yeah.
That one is more of a balancing type thing instead of that traditional
Yeah.
seesaw. You don't see many traditional seesaws in parks anymore because they tend to be advanced equipment.
You
Yeah.
see the seesaw?
Yeah.
Has rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can do some research. There's a lot of companies out there that have that kind of equipment, so.
I don't really have a good handle on what funds we have to spend. I know we were some of the stuff goes to the wall. Do we have a feel for what $7,000 is in our project, what we're holding?
Right. I was wondering the same thing because that's the number one priority I thought.
Right, yeah, we got to finish the ball, I think that's what we're, spirit.
Yeah.
But you can still kind of like the approach from the table where we're kind of earmarking half of what we have.
I absolutely agree with that, yes.
Because
Also, it's like,
I want to be able to do things.
absolutely.
Right.
Well, don't earmark those dollars out of last year's budget. Hadn't really earmarked dollars for any project specifically out of this year, so that is something you would want to think about. I don't know those dollars right off the top of my head, I can bring that to the next meeting.
If you would,
But I know y'all earmarked a portion of it, disc golf signs.
right.
You've got a few other things out of this year, so I really don't know right off the top of my head what is left in this year's budget. I can look while you're talking, but that would be kind of the question of, yeah.
Why don't we put that on next month's agenda so that when we come back, we have a good feel for where we are and exactly what monies we have left. Sure. What is that motion? I make a motion that we
Revisit.
Motion to table this until you know what funding you have available.
table bills until our money is available. Until we know the funding specifically.
Yeah, so.
Cool.
Doesn't have second.
Sure.
But somebody's.
We need to take a vote to do that. Vote to my right.
So yes.
Yes.
Person, yes.
Doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Delgado, yes. B3, oh, excuse me, wrong one. C, discussion regarding local organizations to help with donations for repairs to the pickleball court. And this is just something I wanted to ask about, about asking some of the local organizations to see if they could help donate toward us getting the pickleball court repaired. Any discussion?
How about asking people that play pickleball, if they know, they could help, and then they could maybe invite their friends to help, or organizations that they know of,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, I was kind of thinking like, the Rotary Club, for instance, the Parrot Heads,
Oh, yeah.
some of these other organizations to see if they could, donate 5,000 or something like that, 2,500, or just, is that something that we should consider?
Is there,
I don't know why we wouldn't.
I agree.
I mean, that's silly. Why would we?
That would be right.
I mean,
It would be
worst
silly
worst
not to
case
ask.
scenario,
Yeah.
they would say no.
Yeah.
are there rules where it's like if a company in town wanted to sponsor, could we guarantee them we could put the logo on it somewhere,
Put a sign up for their advertising.
or? Yeah,
That would probably be more what we would do as some kind of banner. There's no reason we couldn't hang a banner on the outside of the board. I would venture away from painting their logo on the board. That tends to be
I don't
a
know.
annual renewal kind of thing. That's hard for most people to do. do, but, kind of what you guys did for, y'all were very, very successful at Dartmouth Park for getting donations, and that's kind of what we sold, right? We all came up with kind of a list of, this is what $100 gets you, this is what this gets you, and there's no reason why you wouldn't do that.
Okay.
There is the park special fund, so we are able to accept those donations as a city, as we made out to the city of Gun Barrel, and we are able to, Mickey is able to kind of earmark those dollars for what they are dedicated for. How did exactly what we did, we kind of dedicated all of the donations and money we made from Dartmouth Park to rehashing those pickleball courts.
Yeah.
That ended up being a couple $1,000s, so y'all are probably 7,000 into a 25 or 30,000 rehab, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you go out and somebody says, hey, we wanna write your check, please get the check and bring it to me, and we can get it in our account, so.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and the way I was, I mean, I know it gets a little interesting when you go and ask somebody for money to go to a city. Or give you money. But I think the way that I would, almost picture is going out to organizations and just understanding to the park board and what the park board is trying to do, what the park board has done, and that is a project that we have to raise funds for.
There's a report.
And,
Which
so
one?
it's also like presentation, sure we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're also asking for money towards some of these larger scale things. And I think, I think that
We're
would
happy
be a
with
great
that.
way to talk with the community as well. I like it.
I think we need to put our heads together and come up with a plan. We're gonna need, some people or someone to go in front of these, organizations and do a little presentation.
I can put together a little, or we can work and I can put together a little handout if you want, with some kind of recommended, I mean, this is not that uncommon in our world to do this.
Yeah.
Y'all did something very similar with Dartmouth Park, and I think we have kind of that donation where for $100 you get X, and for, you just crank that up a little bit, right?
Right.
Maybe for a $5,000 donation, you're gonna put your name on a sign on the outside of the courts, which isn't a problem, so. Brooke and I can put something like that together if you want, and bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll send it to you all before the next meeting.
Sounds
Don't
good.
hesitate to make comments and send them back to me. It's easier to tweet them than have to wait to a whole other meeting. So just shoot us an email and say, hey, try this, or what about this, and we can bring options, so.
Okay. Would you have
I'm happy
time
to
to help with that? Let's kind of head it and then give everyone's input when we get this back from Angie and Brooke.
We can kind of put together before and after, have some, what it would look like after, really good, what it would look like after pictures from my previous experience.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, 3D, update on grants.
Don't have much of an update. Tried to spend some time out this morning, and I'm still getting my account waiting for approval. So I haven't spent much on it.
All right, 3E, consider and take action on participating in the July Fest this year. Angie, do we have a date on that yet?
We do. Same weekend it always is, the last weekend of July. So that will be July the 26th.
Okay.
And we would love for y'all to again do the kids area, want to do that?
Okay,
Was that our splash thing that we did?
we did the splash thing.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is figure out, do we want to do that again? I'd like to first point out, I think we made maybe $600-700 with that. Okay. First of all, we need to find out, do we want to do this again? And second of all, or do we want to do something else in its place? You know me, I got ideas. I thought, gonna do the bounce houses like we did before. Another idea was a skate-a-roma at the pavilion, maybe work with the Derby girls. Another idea I had was the petting zoo. These are just ideas I'm throwing out here. Taste of Cedar Creek Lake, invite local restaurants. That's my ideas. What do y'all think? We could certainly do the Splash Pad again. Were you there for that?
I wasn't, so I,
Okay, so we.
right, I mean, I
we
know,
got-
obviously a jumping house, but what is a splash pad exactly?
It was, at the tennis courts, we set up about 5 or 6 different, very big,
Giant mounts.
water slides.
And then outside, that's where.
And we charged probably, I think it was about $20 per kid. And, yeah, we had.
One of the things I talked about last year after the fact was maybe reducing that to 10
Mhm.
and trying to drive more people, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
Since
my
it
plan
was-
was $20,
Since-
because, I mean, it's, you know, so, yeah,
yeah, since it was a
But
short
that's pretty
period of
hard to
time and
do.
we didn't have those people coming early like we thought we might, right? When we did that, maybe just reduce it to it's $10.
And we, I know the big lesson learned from that is we need to be more strategic with drugs.
Yeah,
Yes, because didn't water go down to where the vendors were?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of weird, we were so jam-packed with stuff, there was
Yeah.
water going off every direction.
yeah.
So we created a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah,
Right, right. I kind of like the petting zoo idea.
yeah. I have no idea where you get something like that, but.
Yeah, we will do a kids only regardless. So I'll tell you that, that's a huge asset to our event, so we will
Sure.
likely do that regardless of whether you all partner with us.
I mean, considering how many kids were at Easter egg hunt.
That's something, probably, yes, probably water slides again. The petting zoo, we would just have to find someone approved through USDA to do it. I don't know locally who that is, we would just have to figure out who that is and have them, they have to have insurance and stuff to do that. And you can charge it, an entry fee. It's been a long time since I've looked at petting zoo, so I don't know what the cost of that is.
Okay,
But
okay,
I will tell you, we will likely do a kids on one way or the other.
yeah,
Right, we paid for that last year, y'all got the revenue from it, by showing up and taking tickets, selling tickets at the gate, that was, and helping with making sure, but there were some lessons learned last year about the amount of water, you could probably turn the water way down.
It's in July, so I mean, how do you beat that?
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I get it, petting zoo, every kid likes pets, right, and animals, period.
yeah.
But how do you beat the water, right? I mean, a kid is not gonna stay out of the water, period, I mean, he's gonna find a way to, but I think, yeah, 20 minor, that was a little scary to me.
well, we really thought that people would come early, so we thought we might get a combination. We had it where you could buy a ticket and get in for 10 maybe, and if you didn't have a ticket, you could get in for 20, and it just didn't patch out all that way. Most of our people were from the event, and so, but we are handling all of the vendors this year, so Brooke is doing food trucks, and then all the event vendors, Brooke is handling that this year. But, some version of, at an event like that, some version of the kids area is super popular.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So,
I know, water parks hard to beat, water slides,
Yeah,
that's hard to beat in July.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if you wanted to combo it up, maybe we could afford to do the water and the petting zoo,
I think it's worth looking into.
I wouldn't pull it out for sure, but I think we gotta have water. I mean, that's
I
just, it's
agree.
so lot, we gotta have water.
I like that idea.
That's a big deal. And if we
Yeah,
learned lessons last year, maybe we do it better this year, and then maybe we can afford to put the petting zoo on the side, maybe, I don't know.
And really the benefit, I think, of the bounce houses is we had already budgeted for those, so y'all just got the revenue. We ate the expense and y'all got the revenue from it to go toward the pickleball court, so that was one of the big benefits. We really haven't budgeted for additional kid type entertainment, doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but,
Yeah,
so,
Now, do the water bounce houses have to be on the tennis court? Can it be someplace else?
It potentially could, they just have to be a part of the event, and so they have to be fenced off, and so that made some complications of where again do you put them, but that doesn't mean they have to be there.
Yeah.
Anywhere is going to be mud, the thought was you have less mud at the event, at the bounce houses,
Yeah, right, yeah.
but we had some issues with where the water goes when,
Yeah.
and a lot of the vendor soaking was the deflation thing. That is the biggest place that vendors had issues, I think, is when we let the air out of them. So those catch pools at the end, they went, lessons learned, right? We lock the gates, leave them up, figure it out tomorrow. That would definitely, that was the real trigger on the vendors was, I think, the minute we let the air out.
It was gonna happen all of that.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were two or three
Yeah,
vendors that
yeah.
we.
And we're gonna move them around a little bit, I think, for the plans.
Yeah, slow one down because the fire department was about to have to move their trucks. We got to go towards the fire department.
Oh, it was found out.
Yeah.
Alright. Do I have someone that could look into the petting zoo thing and report next meeting? If that is.
I'll see if I can look things.
Okay, that would be awesome.
I had made a list of something, I actually thought it was gonna be more reluctance to do the water thing, than the share, because I don't think we were that happy after the end of it, I'm sure. But and so I was trying to make things that would also be cooler, so the only thing I could think is if there's something that's inside the tent, we got a portable AC inside the tent. But the one thing that was outside of that, and I was just seeing it at some events this weekend, is we might want to consider a traffic strain, something that, just kind of go around the facility, different people have been those are, the one that I saw with the price on it was like $975, but it could also be, it wouldn't surprise me if there's somewhere around here that already has something like that. With the traffic,
Yeah.
that could be a way to go around and highlight the parks. And another thing,
A duct tape?
but most of the stuff I have is outside of the water, but I think we're already doing the water stuff, and that's what
We will do something, I think that we'll have to, the water, bounce houses in July without a water element are too hot.
That's too hot,
And
yeah.
so we have to do something, but I think maybe we learned some lessons last year about water pressure, one. A trickle gets you just as far as on, all the way, so I think, yeah. They've done some kind of kid zone, because it's just such a big hit with kids. The bounce houses are such a big hit.
Very.
That's across the country, every event, that's,
Mhm. Yeah. I'm gonna check out also, some other options as far as the bounce houses to see, some of the different ones, than what we had last year, to see if that's an option. I think it was Hammer Time I used last time, so. Okay, so, at this point, I think, is everybody in agreement on doing the water, the bounce house?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page with that, as well as the possibility of doing something in addition to that.
Animals and what that looks like.
Correct, yeah. So, would someone like to make a motion?
Do we need one for this?
Probably not.
if you want to solidify your participation in July Fest, you can, but you don't necessarily have
Okay, we'll leave
to.
that.
I hear you loud and clear, and I will find out from
I
her.
think next month we can talk a little more intelligently.
Yes,
If we can afford to do both, what the water looks like versus what the animals look like, and then maybe that's the motion next month, I don't know.
Yeah, I will tell you, I think one of the benefits of the slides is we budget to pay for those slides, right? So then what y'all see is all the revenue.
yeah,
There's no expense associated with that, there's your time, which I know, for Monica and Gilbert was a super long day, right? Because y'all were out there at noon, and then we tried to open it at 4. I think this year we're smarter about how we do that, we lower the price, we say, hey, here it is, we do one gate in and out. We don't have a public gate and a private gate, so you gotta come to the event to participate, and maybe you do $10 and you get twice as many kids, and, we figure out drainage and water
Sure.
and all those good things, which we have some time now to figure out, so.
yeah, we learned a lot from last year,
Yeah.
so. Okay.
I still have balls, so there's that. I think we gave away the rest of the glow sticks at Christmas, but we do still have balls, the beach balls that we gave away last year, so.
Okay, good. Okay, 3F, update on the library box. The library box is installed. I hope everybody gets a chance to go and see it. I went to see it yesterday, and it's already, people are already getting books from it, so I don't have, wish I had a picture of it, but I do want to thank Joe Kyle. He's here for his involvement in getting us the library box. It's very nice, I really appreciate it. And I also called and spoke with Melissa at Tri-County, and what she said was, you know, just let them know whenever the box needs to be filled up, and they will provide books for us. I believe you said,
Yeah, the Cedar Creek Lake Library can also provide books if you need more.
Okay. Having two libraries is nice.
Yes, absolutely.
The plaque will go on there eventually, but it's, the paperwork's been sent in to registry, so it will be on their website with the official address. And the Lions Club got funded all of that, so,
That's nice.
that was kind of how we got it all put together. And thanks to the city for installing it. Thank you all approving it while I was working on her getting a new knee, so we're just getting out and about.
Good, great.
well, I think there's a picture of it in the monitor as well. So, not that one, but another one that they put in. The other thing I wanted to bring up with this is that anytime any of us, I believe, are out at the park, maybe we all check the box from time to time and make sure that there's nothing inappropriate in it.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure that, that it is, you know, has plenty of books in it. Let me or Elga, I guess, know if the box needs to be filled. So we'll just kind of play it by ear for now. So,
Is it mostly children's books or adults or just anything?
it's
Okay.
both, it's both.
Okay, fiction, nonfiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also, you saw some romances in there.
Okay.
So, and it's also over there, next between the pavilion and the playground. So that's where it is, so. Okay. All right, moving on, 3G, consider and take action on adding a 10th horseshoe pit. Shelby?
So, one of the things, I try to think of the things that we can do for a relatively low budget, and I know one of the things that's existed for a long time is when they mapped out the spot for the horseshoe pit, they mapped it out, put in 10 and installed one. And I'm not exactly sure when, you know, the space of the tent is just, it's there, and all the fences there, and all that sort of stuff. And apparently 10 is the number you want to have if you actually hold the term. So, I went out just to try to figure out what the materials would be. I think the only way to really get a price on it is probably ask folks to help us with that, because I didn't like go dig to try to see how deep the concrete was, and like that. But just measuring out the concrete and all, you know, materials seem like the, you know, materials to do that, and maybe even refurbish the backstops, because some of the backstop lumpers should really be replaced. You know, we're probably talking, you know, 2,000, 2,500 type of number for materials to be confirmed by somebody. Those are the dimensions better. But that felt like something that could be done, and then that might open up the opportunity to have some issues tournaments out there and do some stuff like that. So I wanted to throw it out there as an idea of something maybe if we see the price and consider.
I will tell you that was long, a thing on Keith Bond's list of things he really wanted, and he kept saying to me, we need 10, we need 10. We don't need 10, that's not a true rule. There's nowhere in the International Horseshoe program that we need 10. As a matter of fact, Chandler has a very active horseshoe pit. I think they have 7. They have like tournaments and they either have 7 or 8. Huh? So, I thought you said 10. I was like, I wanted to call him and ask him because he was very adamant. He would make these little comments every time I saw him, 10 horseshoe pits. I'm like, what? So finally I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, no, you have to have 10. And I said, no. So I spent an afternoon digging and looking at horseshoe. We don't have, there's no limit on how many you have to host a tournament. There are some cities, Chandler, Texas has a very, very active horseshoe group. We have never, as long as I've been here, we haven't even used it. I think we used it for something. What did we use it for?
Contest during the solar eclipse.
The bags and the boards, what's that called?
Cornhole.
Cornhole, it's probably like cornhole, use it for cornhole. But that's just a heads up, I had heard that rumor for months, and finally I cornered the person who kept making the comments and said, what are you talking about? And that is not correct. Nowhere in the rules does it say you have to have 10. I don't know why they have a giant open space down there and only ended up building 9. It does need love for sure. It doesn't mean we can't build 10, but we don't have to have 10 to have tournaments if we can find somebody to do tournaments. So,
Are there currently any groups that use it right now? I
not to
haven't
my
seen anybody
knowledge.
out there in a long
Not to
time.
my knowledge.
Okay.
They have a very, like I said, Chandler, Texas, there are a couple of big
They really
tournaments.
don't use them. That's because they don't maintain them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they just kind of mow them because nobody uses them, and horseshoe pits take a lot of maintenance, detail maintenance,
Okay.
and because we don't have people that really use them, we just mow them, right, and we mow everything else, so.
You said the cost was $2,500. How much of that was for a new one versus how much was that for maintenance of the other 9?
Well, I want to make sure I'm clear that that was me figuring out cubic feet of concrete and looking at, what that cost was. So it was around $1,300 for the concrete alone and the new one. And then I did, you get landscape timbers and angle irons and everything that goes in the back. So I just figured it was $1,300 for that, but if I wanted landscape timbers, it's like $2,500. And they had been off on, I think my calculation was conservative with concrete. There's a lot of labor involved.
Yeah.
A lot. But it is just trenches. Because the concrete is now. There's not any platform kind of stuff. I can't say I didn't do the research, but I've heard that from more than one person.
Gilbert, I have too.
Right.
I've been hearing 10 for a long
And,
time.
Yeah.
and in fact, one of them from someone was trying to clean the fence at the park, so it would be nice if,
Yeah,
so
I heard that, and I finally cornered Keith and just said, wait a minute, time out, what, you keep making this comment about 10 horseshoe tournament, what's, so I dug into the rules, and so.
So this is a nice to have, but not a have to have for now, right?
I guess I would call it a desirable, because there are definitely people out there that think that we need it, or we need to do more with it.
How many people have come to you and asked you about the horseshoe? Would you guess? 4 or 5? I just wonder if we put the money into it, would it behoove us? Would we have more people using it if we kept it up and did something? What do we see?
Well,
Because horseshoes is a very old game.
yeah,
So a lot of the elderly, and we've got the resources for that. They love that game. So that really, it's like me playing 42. I love playing 42. It's a dying game. No one knows it. So I wonder if we could refurb and bring those back up. Maybe we could start utilizing that portion of the park again. It's a question. Well, let's think about it.
I wouldn't see why we wouldn't do it constantly. That would
Or-
Or is there for someone to reach out to some of these, like Chandler has a very active horseshoe group? Would it be a benefit to reach out to them and say, hey, what would it take to get tournaments? Not just do it, right? Because if no one's using it, if we invest even $1,000 in something no one uses, is it worth it at the end of the day? So my question would be, is there a benefit maybe for someone to reach out to, the group that plays in Chandler, or the Texas, there's a THPA, Texas Horseshoe something, and they have Texas club locations, right? So Chandler just happens to have a horseshoe club, and that makes their courts, their, I don't know what to call that thing, pitch, horseshoe pitch, is that what it's called? Pit, that's the word, horseshoe pit, get used more. So would there be a benefit for us to maybe reach out to one of those groups, or to it's the Texas Horseshoe Pitchers Association, and see, hey, what do they play Arlington, Border, Bryan, Buffalo, Cameron, Chandler, Denison, Hamilton, Lindsay, Louisville, McKinney, San Antonio, Waco, Weatherford. So they have clubs, maybe we could figure out how to start a club here that then justifies us investing that money in doing that more detailed maintenance on them, because they do take, in our case, more detailed maintenance to maintain the sand and such, but whatever you guys want to do, that's just a thought that might bring more people here. If we could start a club, then we could invest more in that, but it is not accurate. We have that in Chandler actually has like 9 meets or something a year, and they only have 8 or 9, so.
I mean, well, we already have 9.
Yeah.
So I think we don't need to drop it. I'd like to see us pursue this as far as, to see if we can get some activity there. And, if we can, then we start maintaining it. And see what that's going to entail.
Yeah, I think we could get an event here to work it, so repair at least one job.
Sure.
TexasRinger.com is their website.
Ringer.
That tells you how many times I search for the Texas Horseshoe Association of Americans, it pops up. It'd be great if we could get people to play. I just think it's a matter of, it does need work, but it does also take, it takes more maintenance to maintain those, and we need people playing on them on a regular basis to do things.
Yeah.
Just to justify that level of.
No, I agree. I think we need to pursue it, so. Okay, I don't think we need a vote or motion on that. The next one, 3H, discussion regarding fundraising events and ideas. Before we pursue this and go with Gilbert on this, we have a citizen comment. Frank Vaughn would like to present something to us.
I've got some handouts today. Great. My name's Frank Vaughn with 104 East Shore Rock, right at the end of the legendary. Right down here. You go all the way down in the legendary to the left. And we were fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, to stumble upon 6 vacant lots we bought in October. And that's what the lots are. So it's about 2 acres of land. And so it's a rough triangular area outlined in blue. This area right in here. And the lots were completely covered in trash, debris, and the guy sold them because he was in trouble with the city because of trash and debris. And we got 2 roll-off dumpsters full of refrigerators, bricks, Somebody really liked the drapes. They put drapes and rods in that lot. And it's completely overgrown like this, and full of weeds and poison ivy, and a lot of trees were killed by the mines. The mines are overgrown. And what we could tell was the lots have not been developed, and they're zoned single-family residential. So we bought them, and then we cleared them. We cleaned out all the trash debris. Immediately, somebody came in and dumped all the sheetrock. That's what happens in East Texas. People drive on your land. It's not good. So what we did was, and I don't know if you want, but we cleared the lots by getting a landscape shredder, leaving all of the overgrown, the big trees that are still alive. And we have post oaks, black hickory, cedar elm, ash trees, hackberries, big, huge trees. They're completely covered in ivy, and now they come back in the spring. So it's really kind of cool. And then what we did is we cut 2 big trails through the lots ourselves. My wife and I did it, and we're kind of done. And we did it with decomposed granite, and we have 3-foot and 4-foot trails that go about 400 feet around the perimeter. And then we put in a patio city. And I got it certified as a National Wildlife Foundation backyard habitat area. We put in a pollinator garden, we put in, which hasn't moved a lot yet. We put in a bat house, bird and owl house, bluebird houses, lovebird houses. And it's just full of birds, and we've got a lot of foxes and all that. So what I'm asking you is, this is a pocket park. This is not a little neighborhood park. And so everybody has access to it, everybody walks around in there. And I don't know if the city would want to advertise it as a little neighborhood park. It's not a city park, I know. You can't buy the park, I mean, you could. But it's, the guy who bought from wanted it named after his wife, so it's Marianne Gilchrist McLaughlin Nature Center. That's what they named. But the other thing is I cannot get this as a conservation easement, and I can't get it as a, it's conservation until a wildlife conservancy because it's below 10 acres, and I can't get it as a agricultural use area because it's below 10 acres. So I don't know if the city could list it, but maybe help me. Also, it's going to say to go down and see what we do with the pocket park. And because down in that area, there are no parks. Right? And this is an idea to have a neighborhood park with neighbors.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
My daughter lives in there.
Oh.
But, yeah, it's very nice. Y'all did a wonderful job with it. Thanks.
Not a weird thing to go do, but we did. But also, I mean, we're gonna get open eye, like we all do. Is it possible to look at a granting to the city for this area if we get open eye, make it a little park, so it stays a park?
Potentially putting it in my park,
Okay.
and we can have a conversation about that, we talk to the attorney and see what we would need to do. But yeah, I mean, it's very common that land is donated to the city
Okay.
and deeded over as a park. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So we just don't want
Yeah.
people to come in and build 6 houses in there, stack them all in there, and it's up on the hill, I've got the hill there.
it's not a problem.
Yeah, there's a little lake view all around, so it's pretty cool. It'd be
I
nice
love that.
to do
I'll
this.
grab you one of my cards.
That's great. That's all. When I play pickleball too, if you guys put some screens up around the courts and block the wind, because the wind is so strong that they can't play when it's windy, and if you sold people those screens, that'd be a good way. But I appreciate you doing pickleball. Can you welcome to come out and take a look? It's on East Shore Drive, just go down there and just go around. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion regarding fundraising events and ideas, shall we?
So I know it was kind of listed as a action item for all of us last night. We had a drop the walk-on, everybody go to the next meeting. So that's why I asked for it to be on the agenda, because we had the homework. So I don't know if anybody.
Let you start.
So, for one thing, I don't think we dropped the idea of the walk. The other things that I have on my list is cornhole, corn dogs, cornhole, the movie in the park. When they first started doing movie in the park, it's when we weren't using ball fields. It's there on the play. It's a great place for a screen. It's great. Now we're going to use the ball fields. So that, it could be like a monthly movie or something.
I love that. I see other cities doing that, moving at the park. I think we should do something with our amphitheater.
The tricky part with some of the things I have here is how we raise funds. So again, because with movie in the park, I would almost think we want that free, so we could have concessionaires and things like that. I had people suggest a pet program, talking about pet programs.
Yeah, I don't really look at that, yeah, that's sure.
Where's your turn? know we have to have to.
Okay. Dropped out.
The funny part is, I saw this on the internet, and I was like, I'm gonna kill this bar. I immediately thought, it's so funny, because he got this whole conversation. He passed that, he may not have passed that out, because apparently that was a very long-standing
Yeah.
thorn
I mean,
in
it's
each
somehow
side.
controversial, there's a lot of people upset that they're not going to go in, supposed to go in there. So,
I just kind of assumed that was
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
where
that's-
like,
but people out looking go, yeah, looks like they're in it then. It's right there.
it just made me laugh. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be how I go down is.
The other, the bingo, bingo in the pavilion.
Yeah.
But Dean Carter, again, has like a community for itself.
That's what I thought to community for ourselves, yeah.
And
Because everybody's got stuff, donate your stuff or sell the stuff, man, it's pretty easy. Yeah. It's one day, set it up.
Well, the Pinnacle Women's Group has stopped doing it.
Really? Why?
They have all this stuff up there where they don't have anything.
They have the gala instead.
I heard it was because they had a storage place where everyone would take the stuff to throughout the year, and they were paying things on a money.
Oh,
Well, now you want to put so much more like you rent a table, you bring your stuff.
You're better off at consignment, so we have to drop it off for you, because now it's your problem, and you have to figure out how to haul it off, but you do the table, and it's consignment, and that is a lot harder.
The only other thing I had on my list was, not only those Aldi's, but we've got a nice field to the school, amphitheater, and I can picture small town, three-legged races.
That's where I was going. So when I talked to
Trying
her,
that picnic kind of thing.
I was thinking a community barbecue. A community barbecue. Remember when we talked before I went to North Carolina, talking to Walmart? I was thinking of community barbecue. So what I think might be fun is if we had games of all ages set up. So i.e. horseshoes. I would also like to see maybe an egg toss, something old school, a sack race. Get the little guys involved. My thinking on that was, we need to reintroduce the entire park to all of Gunnville. So let's talk to your buddies over there playing the golf. And let's get somebody over there that can teach, I don't play that, I'm clueless, I can throw a frisbee, that's it, or not. Same thing with pickleball. Let's get some people over there teaching how to play pickleball. So that, hey, yeah, that might be a game that we would, I would like to play on a regular basis and get things. So my big thing is food. That's really my biggest thing, because I think that it should be like from 10 maybe to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, depending on the heat, time of year, and all those different. And then people bring their own barbecues and do their own thing, but then if they didn't, we would need some food somewhere. I just don't know if we can get food trucks in there. Would they want to come for the day? Those are things I do not know the answer to. But if we had businesses that would support or sponsor a game, i.e. So business, I own whatever, I'm gonna sponsor fishing in the pond. So that's gonna be one thing for all the little kids, let's go, and somebody's over there manning the fishing, and then somebody's over there manning the sack race, and so we have all different things going on all the time, keeping everybody busy, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe a few of those things that you're suggesting, like the games, maybe we could, add that to be a part of the Kid Zone for July Fest.
Any of that is possible. I'm just thinking something we could bring in that's relatively inexpensive, easy for us to man, obviously. We don't want craziness, but I mean, anybody in our age group could still do a sack race.
Right.
Somebody else maybe not wanting to do a sack race is gonna be wanting to do horseshoes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just sounds, I just think anything we can do to completely reintroduce the park. Because until I was here, I didn't know that we had pickleball.
Yeah.
So I was on board. Huh, who knows?
I didn't know we had a park.
Your biggest challenge is how you get people there, right? do
Exactly.
this.
And that's
So
what,
it's probably over there twitching, because she ended up running kind of all the games when we had the clips, when they darkened the park. And people just, they're busy, right? And so it's so hard to get them there for a thing.
Yeah.
You know, we tried movies that, not to discourage, there are people that are very successful at it. It just seems like our crew, it's hard to get them there for things, right? Great turnout the other night for roller derby. Lawnmower races have a great turnout now, but that's like a morning on a Saturday where they're coming to watch something, and maybe we can somehow tie in right after that or something. But it's, you know, we tried to do those games thinking we would have this built-in audience at Darken Park, and it was like $5, and it was, you know, the board got half and the winner got half, and we ended up with what, 4 or 5 people, so yeah, that played those games, and so it's so hard to get people there. Movies in the park are great, but it costs you $250 to $400 to rent the movie, because you have to have a license to show the movie. So that's something to keep in mind, right, when you start talking about doing movies in the park. They're a lot of fun. For some reason, Gun Girl just doesn't turn out for them. Like, we did them at Halloween, we try to do them and they no show. Like, they're gone by the time the movie starts.
Yeah.
So it's a weird dynamic of how you get people out there, and maybe you could tag on something where you kind of have a built-in audience, but even at lawnmower races, mayor people are gone at halftime. They're there for a couple hours, they're gone when they do their intermission, they never even see the final races, so.
Yeah.
We were talking about that at the last one, people just kind of clear, they're there early, they're ready, and so I don't know how I think the secret is figuring out how you get these young adults to come out and do that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's a different market. Every market's a little bit different. This is a tough one to get people to. We have a lot more success with things that are ongoing.
Well, right, I think the consistency is
Yeah,
key,
yeah.
because even with the movie Halloween, people were there to get candy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm almost of the mind that tagging it on to something that people are going to probably wouldn't want, because then they're not there for your thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so like, you know, with the movies, it's something that happens every once in the summer and it happens every year, then I feel like it's that possibility.
yeah, I agree.
Right. But yeah, we've had, you know, it has been really tough to get into the market with new stuff.
Yes.
I was amazed how few people were obsessed.
Right.
That's like, whoa. But I don't think we get there with that term.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And something simple we could do is just sell Gun Barrel City t-shirts. People ask me about them all the time. And my sister had come to visit from Albuquerque last month, and she said, I want to buy some t-shirts, Gun Barrel City t-shirts, and or baseball caps to take them back to the people that she worked with at the hospital there. And we could not find them. And we went to Valero, we went to Walmart, we couldn't find them. So why can't we do something like that? And it's evergreen and something we can
Well, that'd be something ongoing,
and ongoing.
all the time.
I mean, I'd be willing to come up here and just sit here on a Saturday and sell them, you know, if we advertise or whatever. But, yeah, I burn mine all the time.
We used to keep a stock.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They just quit selling, and so they managed to filter through what they had left, and now we send them to CVS or Chevron. Who always has a stock.
Have we
Well,
been
we
doing July
couldn't
Fest?
find them.
Huh?
Have we been doing July Fest t-shirts?
We did not do July Fest t-shirts.
We did really well with Darken Park
Yeah,
t-shirts.
for sure.
People were coming in afterward, even after wanting to buy them, and, you know, didn't have them.
Yeah,
So, anyway, just a thought.
okay. All right, anything else?
So I have a group of about 50 ladies that are around the entire lake area. And I've been visiting with them about my new involvement here, and every one of them says if it was named Cedar Creek Lake at Gun Barrel City Park, that it would put a different spin on it for those that are in other communities besides Gun Barrel City. I don't know if this has ever been brought up before. As an example, Cedar Creek Library, Tri-County Library, it doesn't have the city name associated with it. And so there is this little bit of a competition, so to speak. And they've all said that if it was more geared towards Cedar Creek Lake, that they felt that participation would be greater. So I said, well, I'll bring it up. But what they majority were saying is that if it was Cedar Creek Lake at Young Girl City Park, pickleball lessons. I had 30 women immediately stand up and said, oh my God, I'd sign up. What would it be? $45, $50 to sign up for lessons. And this other lady said, well, I volunteer my services to teach. So just again, something to think about as far as when we were talking about clubs. They also brought up numerous ideas for clubs that they'd love to participate in. So if you were to have 35, 50 people sign up around Cedar Creek Lake for pickleball lessons at $35, $50 a person for X number of lessons, that's an opportunity.
That's something that can go on the website, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think once you have so with the community center comes a full-time employee, right? That can help organize some of these things.
Right, yes.
I think our council would have a really hard time renaming our park to Cedar Creek Lake, because the Federal City funds it, right? It's not funded by all the surrounding communities, which is a little bit of a challenge. So that is a little bit of a challenge with that, is that it is, it is funded by Gun Barrel, and it is Gun Barrel City's city park.
But it could be Gun Barrel City invites everyone at Cedar
Sure,
Creek
yeah,
Lake
to participate in whatever.
Yeah.
So if this group wants to take on like pickleball lessons or you need an instructor, they have to be an instructor. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there. I mean, with the community center comes a full-time employee that does this kind of stuff. Some of you know, we have recently taken on baseball, adult softball. And that's just a fluke that I'm working directly with them because that's my background, but we don't have a person that does that, right? That's not part of what Brooke does in her, is programming per se. She does special events and all the marketing, but dumping additional programming on somebody that's already tapped out would be tough. But we will have another staff person, hopefully, when the community center gets up and running. It is currently budgeted for a full-time position and a part-time position to run that, and so there will be some additional staffing there to be able to do some of that stuff, but yeah. Pickleball lessons would be great, we just need an instructor, they can call me and I can help them set it up. So, that's why we do yoga the way we do yoga, is yoga is volunteer, and she's down there every Saturday morning at 9, I think, 8:30 or 9, and.
No, I didn't know about that.
It's all on our website and Facebook. All the
So
stuff
let's
that's
see it on the website.
They're probably on Facebook, that's probably more on Facebook. That's a volunteer that shows up at the amphitheater. There's what, a dozen people or so that show up down at the amphitheater, and she takes donations and.
And there's Zumba at the pavilion too.
Zumba at the pavilion, that's not even through us, they just show up and do that.
Wow.
They take whatever space they can get, they don't even reserve the pavilion. If the pavilion's not available, they go over in the grass and do it. So we got a couple people that do things like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate
But
that.
yeah, if there's somebody that wants to teach something, they just need to reach out. But I would have a hard time, yeah, that's fine, yeah, for now. I would have a hard time selling to council to change our city park and everything.
Well, yeah.
I get it, I do get it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
that's a tough one for me.
Okay, any other discussion? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to, I said it.
Meeting adjourned.
I don't know how to do that.